Hey guys, what is up? My name is Tom Spark. Welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to show you how to make an automated media server the easy way. Yes, this video is for the complete idiots out there, noobs, boobs, shoobs, whatever. If you don't know jack shit about servers, networking, IT, server this, server that, Plex that, this video is for you. Because in some ways that was me, and it took me a while to figure all this out. But I think I've finally done it, and I'm going to show you how in this video. So guys, before we start out, there is going to be one thing you do need to pay for, and that's going to be a VPN. With a VPN, you can protect your IP while downloading your Linux ISOs to your server. Now, most other people on YouTube are pretty much shills when it comes down to it. They don't have a proper ranking system, and they just partner with a VPN to advertise. Here on my channel, we're actually mostly focused on reviewing VPNs, and I've made a structured breakdown and review system for VPN specifically called the VPN tier list. If you guys are interested in picking a VPN to use, I would recommend using one of my top rated ones. These will give you the best performance when downloading things for your media server, the best speeds, and the best features. So check out vpntierlist.com for my recommended options. Primarily in this tutorial, we're going to be using Torrent. We're going to be using Torrent VPN. One reason is because they provide a SOCKS 5 proxy service included with this service that it's going to make this way easier to do. You're never going to have to actually turn your VPN on. Your IP will stay encrypted and protected, and you'll be able to do everything pretty much automatically. Not many other actual VPNs provide proxies at the price that Torrent does. So that's one reason we're going to be recommending it. So I'll put a promo code and link in the description down below for Torrent and the proxy, and we'll be discussing in the video at that step when to use those with this setup. So guys, not only that, but you're even going to be able to ask in Discord for the specific server to add a movie if you guys want. This is a little bit more advanced, but we have it here. So basically we can do Imagine, or no, that's the Midjourney bot. We could do request and request a TV show, and it will send it to be downloaded as well. So that's a kind of a more advanced step that you can do after doing all this. And I'll put instructions for that as well. I don't know if I'm going to go too deep into that instructions because it can get a little bit more complicated, but it's pretty easy to follow along with as well. I'll just be giving you the tool to do that, which actually took some time to find too. All right, guys, so let's go ahead and start the tutorial. So guys, first of all, we're going to be pretty much needing 3 tools for this. They're all free. And in some ways, this is the hardest part, is understanding these 3 different tools and how they work together. When I first started out, I was really confused on I need this and I need that, I need that. But I'm going to explain to you what each tool does, and that's actually going to make things way easier for you guys. All right, guys, so first up, what we're going to need is something called Jellyfin. Now, Jellyfin is a open source. I think of it kind of like the GUI or the GUI. It's kind of like where your files are kind of stored on your computer. It's kind of like the media storage area. Now, what Jellyfin does is you could go on pretty much your TV and stream stuff from your server. The server or Jellyfin is going to be stored on your computer or whatever device you want to put it on, and it's going to store the files there. It's kind of like Plex, but Jellyfin is better than Plex, namely because it's open source, more privacy friendly. Plex had all these data breaches and stuff like that, leaked everyone's passwords, so fuck you, Plex. Use Jellyfin, it's better. Everyone in the privacy community likes Jellyfin better. So we're going to be using Jellyfin. So like I said, it's kind of like where you're storing your files and stuff like that. You can actually just use Jellyfin without any of the other tools. You could download your torrents, your Linux ISOs, put them in the file on your computer with Jellyfin, and actually watch them with on your network. So let's say you have an Apple TV. I like to use this app called Infuse. Your server will pop up on Infuse, and you could watch the content directly there. So already it's a pretty useful just as that, creating your own media server, and it's really good at doing that. There are a couple things you need to know with Jellyfin. So I'm doing this on Windows. You could do it on any platform you want. Basically, what you do need to ensure is that your computer is viewable and kind of playable on other devices. This was something that kind of roadblocked me when I was setting some of this stuff up. So you just want to make sure that you have network discovery on and stuff like that, just to make sure it's discoverable on other devices. If you're running into issues here, you can see that I have that stuff checked. If you're running into issues here, just look up on Google something like, how to make sure I could view content from my media server on other devices. There'll be some resources there to help you with that. But like I said, for me, I just had to check some of these things, and I was able to finally view my media server, since that was a roadblock no one really talked about. So some of this stuff should help you if you're having issues with that. But now let's get back to Jellyfin. So like I said, Jellyfin is kind of like the central thing where it all starts, where you put your servers and stuff like that. So the way that Jellyfin works is it's kind of like an application on your computer, but it mostly kind of runs in your browser. And you could see how it kind of works like this, and you go to dashboard and you could configure all the settings and stuff like that. Primarily, it's pretty easy to use. Really, what you want to do is just make a library and point it to where your media will be stored. Additionally, you're also going to want to make sure in the settings, DLNA, and you want to make sure to check some of these things like this. Allow UPnP devices on your network to browse and play content. So make sure to check that. Check this one as well. This is like kind of what I said, sharing devices and stuff like that on your network so you could actually see it. This was a roadblock for me, in combination with some of those Windows settings and checking these things, was able to see it. One other thing is you want to make sure your router does have UPnP support enabled to let this stuff happen. This was another roadblock for me that I had to enable, and it was finally able to get it working. So make sure to check those things on Jellyfin. A lot of people don't mention this stuff because, they kind of figure you'll know it already. But I just kind of wanted to mention that just to make sure for you guys. So we have Jellyfin set up. You want to point it to your folder, enable some of these settings, and from the starting point, you should be able to, at least the first step is get it so you can view it on another device. Go on your phone, go to localhost, the two little dot thing, I don't know what it's called, colon, semicolon, whatever the fuck it is, localhost colon 8096. Or you could go to your IP address, but that's usually the easiest way. Your local host is from your own computer, and then the port number is 8096 for your Jellyfin. So you should be able to access that on your phone. If you can do that, that's a good sign. If you have an Apple TV, you could use Infuse, or if you have other devices, you can also download some kind of Jellyfin app that will work, like on an Android TV or something like that. If you're using a Fire Stick or something like that, try to find something that will work with Jellyfin or a media server. So there you go. That's the first step, being able to kind of view your media server in your network. So once you've achieved that, we could start kind of automating the process. So normally what you would do with Jellyfin is you'd torrent your Linux ISO, it'd go into the folder there, and you can view it across the network. But what we're doing in this video is we're going to make it so anytime a new Linux ISO comes out in the series, you could pretty much automatically have it be downloaded and available without you manually having to input the torrent and download it and stuff like that. So let's say your favorite new Linux ISO show comes out on Thursdays. Every Thursday, it will automatically download and be ready for you. You don't have to go to your computer, put the torrent link in and everything like that. Not only that, but it will also do that for movies. It's an easy searchable interface where you could look up the Linux ISO movie and find it there. And so how are you going to do that? How are we going to automate that process? So we're going to want 2 additional tools, actually 3 tools, and I'll explain what those are because like I said, it's one of the most important ways to fully understand this kind of stuff. Number 1 is going to be Sonaar. Now Sonaar is a way to request shows, and that's pretty much it. You'll request shows on here, and anytime a new show will come out, or Linux show ISO, it'll automatically put it in your Jellyfin folder and be available to view. And then we also have something called Radarr. Now Radarr is pretty much the same thing as Sonaar, but it's for movies. Not really sure why there's this distinction here. Maybe it's just a little bit different. They actually virtually are very similar in how they operate, pretty much the same thing. Just kind of 2 different instances. Basically, they're applications you put on your computer, and then I'll open up a browser tab, usually a local host with the port specifically of these 2 services. So yeah, Sonaar, Radarr, basically all they are is ways to request shows and movies. Lastly, we want to look at something called Jackett. Now I know there's a little bit of alternatives to this, but the good thing about Jackett, Sonaar, and Radarr, they all work on Windows and other platforms too. So I used mine on Windows just because I didn't want to mess around with any of the other stuff, and this is probably the easiest way to do it in my opinion on Windows. So Jackett is pretty much just kind of like the other ones. You will kind of install it. So you go to this page here and you want to find the install. So you pretty much get it from the release page down here, installation on Windows, download that, and then go to this link right here and it will take you to Jackett. Now Jackett, what exactly is Jackett compared to Sonaar and Radarr? Sonaar requests the shows and Radarr requests the movies. Jackett is kind of like a way to make a, it's called like an index. Basically, you could kind of create a place for Sonaar and Radarr to pull information from. It's going to pull information from other torrent websites. So let me show you here how that would work. But you could pretty much pull from any of these private trackers, or basically they're just like torrent websites. And it's basically going to kind of create a way for you to pull information from the torrent websites to feed Sonaar and Radarr. That's pretty much all that Jackett is. Pretty simple. So guys, now that we have all three of the understanding of these things, let me move it here. What do we do now? How do we get all this to work together? How do we get it to put stuff into our Jellyfin server to stream on the network? So the way it does is that you pretty much want to start off by adding in your library. So pretty much what you're going to do is add in, the way I did it is I have like my main media folder. I have TV shows and movies within that folder, and then a downloads folder. So for Radarr, you'll make your movies folder like I made on mine right here. As you can see, it has movies. And then on Sonaar, and you can see on Sonaar, mine is media shows. So this, I think, is a pretty good way to do it. Where the heck is it? So this is what Radarr is, media, movies, and shows. Pretty much you're just making a path to kind of get it to pull information for your library. So that's pretty much the first step you do. Now what we're going to do is you're going to go into settings, and we're going to go to indexers. Now indexers is where it's going to be looking to find files to download to put into your server. This is what I was talking about with Jackett. So basically all you're going to do is push this little button here, the plus thing. You're going to go down to Torrent. You're going to name it something like, let's say the Pirate Bay, TPP. And then from here, you're going to keep these things checked. And then you're going to want to pretty much do the URL and API key. So what you can do here is click on Jackett, go back to Jackett, click add indexer. Let's just do something like this one, whatever the fuck this is. So we're just going to click plus here, and then it added it. So added this public tracker. And now what you want to do is you want to do, copy Torrent feed. So you pretty much go back to Sonaar. You type it in here. You just copy it like this. You go back to Jackett. You go to the top. You copy your API key. And you put it in here. And you click save. So then it's going to save the indexer there. So this is kind of what it looks like. So I have my two indexers here. And that's pretty much what you do. You can have as many as you want. Your private one. Pretty much all you do, like I said from Jackett, you're just copying the Torrent feed and your API key and putting it in, and that's pretty much all you have to do for the index part. This, like I said, is going to pull stuff. It's going to be where you're downloading content. All right, guys, so now let's go to the next section, and that is going to be in the download client section. This is where things are going to be downloaded, and this is going to be your torrent application. So I'm using qBittorrent, and this is kind of where it involves the VPN aspect of things. So pretty much how you add qBittorrent is you're going to want to do, you just click on this and do qBittorrent, and it's going to, let's see if I can do two qBittorrents. We're going to name it something like qBitty. I like that. So whatever the fuck you want to name it. Let's move this a little bit like this. Host, we could leave localhost, port 1080 or 880. Username, you don't really have to do anything there. And then we're pretty much going to hold this here. Now what you're going to do is go to your qBittorrent settings, go to Web UI, enable Web User Interface, IP address, put localhost, make sure it's port 880, and you're pretty much going to save, and that's all you have to do here. So the next thing you're going to want to do is make sure you're using a proxy to anonymize your connection. Anyways, guys, so like I said, once we got that web UI, this is kind of what connects it to Sonaar and Radarr. So we're connecting it to Sonaar. So we have it localhost here, web interface 880. Now what you're going to do is go to connection. For here, we're going to be using Torguard's proxy. Now, the cool thing about a proxy is you never have to turn it on. It's always going to be enabled in the app. It's never going to leak your IP, and you don't even have to bother using your VPN. If you don't want to use a proxy, you can also use VPN. You just have to remember to turn it off and not download stuff without the VPN on. For this video, we're going to be using Torguard VPN's proxy. You could use my code, like I said, TomSpark2022, or code TomSpark as well. You'll get 50% off Torguard's VPN plan. It's around $5 a month or $30 a year. Like I said, it undercuts pretty much every other VPN. It's even cheaper than stuff like Molvad, which is around $5 a month, but $60 a year. Torguard, you could get $30 a year and even cheaper if you get longer term. So Torguard is the cheapest VPN, and also it gives you the SOCKS 5 proxy support. So we do SOCKS 5, proxy.torguard.org, port 1080, and you're going to enter in your login information for Torguard VPN's website once you purchase it. Once you do that, you're going to click OK. So that's pretty much it for qBittorrent, but there is one cool thing you can do, is you can download this tool from Torguard's website that will actually let you check and see if your IP is anonymized. You download that, and I'll show you here how to do that. Once we have that, we can see that that is not our real IP, which means we are anonymizing our IP with that SOCKS 5 proxy. So it is working. Nice. So once you click save, you also want to click test. If it shows a green checkmark button here, that means it worked. So good job, guys. Next up, guys, what we want to do is we want to do the exact same thing in Radarr. So download Radarr, and you're pretty much going to set up the library just the same. So this is for movies. And we're going to go to settings, do the same thing for indexer as we did before, and also go to the download client and set up qBittorrent just like we did with Sonaar. Once we do that, guys, you're going to be off to the races. So we fixed our download client, so it's attached to qBittorrent. It's going to download the media into the folder on Jellyfin, and it's going to search websites from these things to find the files. So all you have to do is go to search and type what Linux ISO you want to download. So let's say we want to download this Linux ISO. It's going to search it, and there we go. You just click it, and it's going to start automatically downloading right inside your qBittorrent application, anonymized by that SOCKS 5 proxy. Once it's started there, it's going to go to the downloads folder. That's another thing, guys, is you want to make sure it goes to the downloads section. So it's going to go to the media downloads. But like I said, it's also going to have the movies and shows. So it'll be able to figure it out. And yeah, basically I was correct on that. It's not really explained so much, but something with the API actually ends up moving the file. So when you download it from the qBittorrent, it'll put it in the download, and then eventually Sonaar does handle and rename it to the final location. This guy explains it pretty well. Sonaar searches the indexer, which is where the website is downloading it. It then downloads it, which would be kind of, well, sad, but it could actually be some kind of torrent application, I think, in this case. So it downloads it, or in my case, qBittorrent, and then it gets periodic updates, and then it can parse it. When the download finishes, it moves it to the completed folder. So pretty cool. All right, guys, so now that we have the indexer, which is going to pull torrents from those specific files, we have Sonaar, which is going to query and look and start putting those files into your qBittorrent application, anonymized by the proxy provided from Torguard. Radarr also does the TV shows, and of course Jackett is where you want to go if you do want to add some more torrent sites to index from. Now we're going to show you an example of how to actually use it and how it works with the Andy Griffith Show, a public domain show for this video. This is a public domain, so I'm not doing anything illegal downloading it, and you guys could get it for free as well. It's a public domain since it is an old show. So this is how you pretty much add it. It's going to be adding it to the media shows folder that I discussed earlier. It's the subfolder of the root media file. And what you want to do here, monitor, is pretty much this is going to be like looking for. That's kind of how I think of it. So you can kind of customize this to what you want. If you just want only the first season, only the latest season, and so on. Usually what you can also do, though, is click all episodes. And then one of the important things to do is this part right here. If you do not click this, it will not automatically add the shows. You need to click this to automatically search for the shows. But the way I like to do it usually is because I want a certain season. I'll do it like this. So I click add this show, go to series, click here. And as you can see, nothing is really happening yet. So basically what we can do is tell it to search for the monitored seasons. That's one way to do it. I do believe you can do a specific season as well. So what we want to do, let's say we wanted specifically the second season. So if we click this, you could see in the bottom right, it processed that. And it looks like it is downloading it now. So there you go. It's as easy as that. It works pretty good. Sorry, I was away from my mic. But the one thing that I've noticed is that you really have to get the library and stuff right. Like I said, make sure it's in the shows. Make sure the download goes to the download folder. All that is really important. So yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. Now let's talk about how to implement it with Discord, so you could ask Discord bot to put things in it right away. You can even share access with other people, although it can get kind of complicated giving them access to your own server at home. So primarily for this video, we're talking about your personal use, not other people. I did mention in the beginning of this video, I would discuss how to implement it with Discord. It's pretty cool. I do have a little server here to just demo that. I don't really have it set up properly because I kind of had moved around a couple files and I never got around to finishing it. And I'm not really looking to share this with anyone. So for me, it's just as easy to kind of go on my computer and request something that I want to watch. But you can even do it this way. And this is kind of what the bot would look like, requesting different titles. So it's pretty convenient. And if you want to do something like that on your phone, very nice. There is a little bit more setup involved, but it's actually all pretty easy and self-explanatory. The tool is called Requesterr. It's open source on GitHub and a really nice tool. The good thing is this has plenty of documentation and tips on how to install it, even for Windows and stuff like that. So pretty much you just download it and you're just going to be kind of copying settings around, connecting it to Discord to make a little bot. Once that is done, you'll set up some commands, connect it to the different things, and you're pretty much going to be able to sync it up with all your stuff. So pretty self-explanatory and pretty easy to do. And I'll put a link for this as well in the description down below. Anyways, guys, thanks for checking out this tutorial. I hope to help you make a really cool automated Jellyfin server using Radarr, Sonaar, Jackett, and even Discord if you want to. I know I was really confused starting all this out because I couldn't really differentiate the main purpose of the different applications. And then it's just kind of one of those things you really got to get into and learn the definition of certain terms. Just remember that indexer is pretty much the websites that are going to be finding the files for you, or you're going to be getting the files. And then the download stuff is mostly with torrenting, and of course Jellyfin being the central media server, Radarr being for movies, to look for movies, and Sonaar, of course, to look for shows. Anyways, guys, thanks for checking out this one. Check the links down in the description down below if you want to get Torrent for the anonymous SSL or torrent proxy. That is very useful. As you can see, I'm downloading Andy Griffith Show, 78 gigs, downloading it pretty quickly, and no issues at all. I don't have to remember to turn my VPN or anything like that. As always, you could check right here as well to see my IP is anonymized. Anyways, guys, see you again very soon.